You're swimming in the ocean. The water's warm, crystal clear, and you're having the time of your life. Then you feel it. A current that wasn't there before. Something massive just moved beneath you. You look down and see a shadow. A shadow bigger than a school bus. Rising fast. Too fast. You try to swim. Cute. You wouldn't even make it 5 feet. Today we're diving into the absolute worst nightmare scenarios the prehistoric oceans had to offer. These aren't dinosaurs in the technical sense. They're something worse. Marine reptiles that evolved specifically to dominate the deadliest environment on Earth. And spoiler alert, you're not built for any of this. Let's start with number 8. And trust me, we're building to something truly terrifying. Number 8. Each Kronosaurus. Meet Kronosaurus, named after the Greek titan Kronos, who ate his own children. That should tell you everything you need to know about this thing's temperament. This beast prowled the oceans around 125 million years ago, during the early Cretaceous period, in what's now Australia. Because of course Australia had something trying to kill you even back then. Kronosaurus stretched about 30 feet long. Not the biggest on our list, but here's the thing about Kronosaurus. It's not the size that kills you. It's the bite. This animal had a skull nearly 10 feet long. A third of its entire body was just head and teeth. Imagine a great white shark, but instead of rows of replaceable teeth, you get massive conical daggers designed to crush bones, which have to thrash their heads to tear flesh. Kronosaurus had jaw muscles powerful enough to just crunch straight through a sea turtle shell like you'd bite into an apple. Scientists estimate its bite force at around 30,000 pounds per square inch. For comparison, a saltwater crocodile bites down at about 3,700 psi. This thing could bite with 8 times that force. You wouldn't even feel the second bite. The first one would have already turned you into a geological artifact. And here's the kicker. Kronosaurus was smart. Not dolphin smart, but smart enough to hunt in strategic patterns. Fossil evidence shows these things coordinated attacks on larger prey. They'd circle, test defenses, wait for the right moment. You might see it coming, might even have a few seconds to process what's about to happen, which somehow makes it worse. The ancient Australian seas where Kronosaurus hunted, water temperatures around 77 degrees Fahrenheit. Warm, inviting. The kind of water that makes you want to jump in, until you remember what's waiting down there. Number 7. Thalassodon. Now we're getting into the really alien territory. Thalassodon. The name means Sea Lord, and it absolutely earned that title. This thing lived about 95 million years ago in the western interior seaway, which used to split North America right down the middle. Kansas, Colorado, Montana, all of it was underwater. Picture this. You're floating in that ancient sea, and suddenly these flippers emerge from below. But they're not normal flippers. They're 7 feet long. 4 of them. Thalassodon measured about 40 feet from nose to tail, and nearly half that length was just neck. Serpentine neck with a relatively small head attached to the end. Think of a snake that decided to become a submarine. Here's what makes Thalassodon such a nightmare. That long neck? It wasn't for show. It was a hunting tool. This animal would swim beneath schools of fish, slow and deliberate, keeping its massive body hidden in the darker water below. Then that neck would strike upward like a spring-loaded trap. Fast, faster than you'd think something that big could move. The fish never saw it coming. You wouldn't either. The really fun part. The Thalassodon swallowed its prey whole. No chewing. That small head wasn't equipped with massive teeth like Kronosaurus. It had thin, interlocking teeth designed to trap prey, not tear it. So it would grab you, pull you underwater, and swallow you alive. You'd be conscious as you slid down its throat, feeling those ribs compress around you in the darkness. And if you're thinking, well, I'd just avoid the neck. Congratulations. You've positioned yourself near the flippers, each one powerful enough to break bones with a casual swipe. Thalassodon used those flippers for both propulsion and defense. They could accelerate from stationary to attack speed in seconds. In the water, you move like molasses. This thing moves like a torpedo with a 20-foot striking range. The western interior seaway was shallow, warm, and absolutely packed with life, which meant Thalassodon had competition. It had to be aggressive, territorial, opportunistic. If you ended up in its hunting grounds, it wouldn't wait to figure out if you were food. It would test that hypothesis the fast way. Number 6. Tylosaurus. This is where things get personal, because Tylosaurus didn't just hunt in the open ocean, it hunted everywhere. Shallow water, deep water, near the surface, near the bottom. This thing was the ocean's apex predator for millions of years, and it had zero chill about it. Tylosaurus was a mosasaur, and it could reach lengths of up to 50 feet. That's longer than a semi-truck. But unlike a truck, which you can see coming, Tylosaurus was ambush incarnate. Imagine a Komodo dragon that decided to become a submarine and hit the gym for 10 million years. That's Tylosaurus. Here's what we know from fossils. Other mosasaurs ate them. Plesiosaurs ate them. Sharks, appetizers. They found Tylosaurus stomach contents with the remains of seabirds, which means this thing would launch itself out of the water to grab flying prey. If it's willing to go airborne for a bird, imagine what it would do for a confused human thrashing around on the surface. The teeth on this animal are what nightmares are made of. Rows and rows of backward-curving razor-sharp teeth designed to grip and tear. And they weren't in rigid jaws like Kronosaurus, with a hinge in the middle of the lower jaw that allowed them to essentially walk their teeth over prey, pulling it deeper into the mouth with each bite. You know how a snake swallows something larger than its head? Same principle, but faster and with more teeth. Tylosaurus also had something most marine reptiles didn't: a battering ram. The front of its snout was solid bone, reinforced and heavy. It would ram prey to stun them before moving in for the kill. There are fossils showing damage consistent with Tylosaurus headbutting other predators to death. This animal got into fights for fun. The real horror: Tylosaurus had binocular vision, both eyes facing forward, giving it depth perception, track movement, calculate trajectories. You're not escaping something that can measure how fast you're swimming and adjust its attack angle mid-pursuit. You're not outmaneuvering it. You're not outsmarting it. You're lunch with opinions. And Tylosaurus lived in every major ocean: the Western Interior Seaway, the Atlantic margin, the Pacific. If there was water deep enough to swim in during the late Cretaceous, there was probably a Tylosaurus in it, waiting. Number 5. Nothosaurus time. To meet Nothosaurus. Now I know what you're thinking. Number 5. This one should be worse than Tylosaurus? It is. Just in different ways. Nothosaurus lived during the Triassic period, about 240 million years ago. It was smaller than most on this list, only about 13 feet long. You're thinking that's manageable, right? So wrong. Nothosaurus is what happens when evolution decides to create a serial killer. This thing had a needle-nosed snout, packed with long, thin, interlocking teeth. And I mean needle-thin. These weren't teeth designed to kill you quickly. They were designed to hold you. Nothosaurus was an ambush predator that hunted in shallow coastal waters, the exact places where humans would naturally wade in. It would hide in murky water, completely motionless, and wait, hours, days if necessary. When prey got close, Nothosaurus would explode from its hiding spot in a burst of speed that fossil evidence suggests was absurdly fast. It would clamp down with those needles. And here's the thing about needle teeth: they don't tear, they puncture, they sink in deep and lock. You'd be pinned, unable to escape, while Nothosaurus dragged you into deeper water. It wouldn't eat you on the spot. It would drown you first, then take its time. But wait, there's more. Nothosaurus wasn't fully aquatic. It had functional legs. This thing could come onto land. Not quickly, not gracefully, but it could do it. You've somehow escaped the water, you're catching your breath and you hear scraping behind you. Claws on rock. You turn around and Nothosaurus is following you out of the water because it's not done yet. The Triassic oceans were recovering from the Permian extinction, the worst mass extinction in Earth's history. Life was sparse, competition was fierce, and animals like Nothosaurus evolved to be absolutely ruthless opportunists. They ate anything: dead things, dying things, things that looked like they might die soon. You, exhausted and bleeding on a beach? That's a 3-course meal. And here's something that'll keep you up at night. We've found Nothosaurus fossils all over the world: Europe, Asia, North Africa, the Middle East. This wasn't some isolated monster. This was a successful, widespread, efficient killer that dominated coastal waters for millions of years. Millions. That's how good it was at what it did. Number 4. Shonosaurus. Welcome to Shonosaurus, the gentle giant of the prehistoric seas. Shonosaurus was an ichthyosaur, and it was enormous. We're talking up to 70 feet long. That's longer than most whale species alive today. It lived during the late Triassic, about 215 million years ago, in deep open ocean, and it looked like a dolphin. If that dolphin was the size of a passenger jet and had no interest in your feelings, they had smooth, hard jaws like a beak. Great, so it can't eat me. Oh, it absolutely can eat you. It would open its massive jaws, create a vacuum, and inhale prey like a living shop vac. Squid, fish, anything in the water smaller than it, which was everything, got sucked in and swallowed whole. And you, flailing around in the open ocean, would look exactly like distressed prey. Shonosaurus would swim up from below. You'd see this massive shadow rising, and then physics would handle the rest. That suction force would pull you toward its mouth faster than you could swim away. You'd tumble in the current, disoriented, unable to control your movement. Then darkness, pressure, the realization you're inside something alive. Shonosaurus didn't chew. It swallowed everything intact and let its stomach acids do the work. You'd be dissolved alive in the pitch-black interior of a 70-foot sea reptile. The deep ocean where Shonosaurus hunted was cold, dark, and impossibly vast. If you ended up there, help wasn't coming. No one would hear you. No one would see you. Just you and something the size of a Boeing 737 that perceives you as a light snack. And Shonosaurus likely hunted in groups. Family pods, like modern whales. Multiple 70-foot suction machines, coordinating, herding prey into tighter and tighter formations before the feeding frenzy began. You wouldn't be fighting one. You'd be surrounded. Number 3, Lepluro. Now we're in the top 3, and things get prehistoric nightmare serious. Meet Lepleurodon. This is the animal that made the Jurassic oceans a place where nothing was safe. Not even other apex predators. Lepleurodon was a pliosaur, and estimates put it anywhere from 20 to potentially 30 feet long, though some fragmentary fossils suggest even larger specimens existed. But let's be conservative and say 25 feet. That's still a 2.5-ton marine reptile, with a bite force that makes Kronosaurus look gentle by comparison. The skull of Lepleurodon was over 5 feet long, filled with teeth the size of railroad spikes. But here's what makes it truly terrifying. It had the most sophisticated sensory system of any marine reptile. Special organs in its snout could detect chemical traces in the water from miles away. Blood, fear hormones, the electrical signals from muscle contractions. Lepleurodon didn't hunt by sight. It hunted by following the scent of panic. You cut your foot on a rock, Lepleurodon knows. From miles away. And it's already swimming toward you. This thing could accelerate to 25 miles per hour in short bursts. In water, that's absurdly fast, faster than you can react. It would close the distance before your brain finished processing the danger. And when it hit like a missile. Then its jaws to deliver catastrophic damage. One bite would tear through bone, muscle, and organs. The second bite wouldn't be necessary. But Lepleurodon didn't always go for the quick kill. Sometimes it would bite and release, testing its prey, playing with it. Fossils show injuries on other marine reptiles consistent with Lepleurodon bites that healed, meaning the prey survived the initial attack. But that wasn't mercy. That was strategy. Wound the prey, let it weaken from blood loss, then finish it when convenient. The Jurassic seas were warm, shallow, and teeming with life. Which meant Lepleurodon had options. It didn't need to eat you specifically. But if you were there, thrashing around, making noise, sending out distress signals through the water, you became the priority target. Not because you were the biggest meal, because you were the easiest. And here's something paleontologists discovered recently. Lepleurodon specimens show evidence of pack behavior. Not always solitary hunters. Sometimes they work together cornering prey, cutting off escape routes. Multiple Lepleurodons in the water meant zero chance. Not low chance. Zero. Number 2, Mosasaurus. And if you know anything about prehistoric marine reptiles, you knew this was coming. Mosasaurus. The animal so dominant, so perfectly adapted to killing, that it's the benchmark for prehistoric ocean horror. Mosasaurus could reach 60 feet in length. Let that sink in. 60 feet of pure hydrodynamic murder. It weighed up to 15 tons and could swim at speeds approaching 30 miles per hour. In evolutionary terms, Mosasaurus was the ocean's final answer to the question, what's the most efficient way to kill everything? The jaws on this animal were insane. Not just powerful, flexible. Mosasaurus had that same hinge jaw as Tylosaurus, but bigger, stronger, with teeth the size of bananas. Curved, designed to slice through flesh and crush bones simultaneously. It could open its mouth wide enough to swallow a horse whole. You wouldn't even touch the sides on the way down. But it's the intelligence that makes Mosasaurus truly terrifying. This thing had a brain-to-body ratio comparable to modern dolphins. It could learn, adapt, remember. If it encountered a threat once, it developed strategies to counter it. If a prey species evolved a defense mechanism, Mosasaurus figured out how to overcome it. This wasn't a mindless eating machine. This was a calculating, problem-solving predator with the physical tools to back up every decision. Mosasaurus hunted everything. The fossil record shows stomach contents, including sharks, sea turtles, plesiosaurs, other mosasaurs, flying reptiles, and even fish that lived on the ocean floor. This animal hunted at every depth in every environment. Mid-water, bottom, day, night. Didn't matter. Mosasaurus was always hunting. And it didn't just hunt for food, it hunted for territory, for dominance, for the psychological satisfaction of being the apex. We found bones of other predators with Mosasaurus bite marks that weren't eaten, just killed and left. That's not survival behavior. That's sending a message. The late Cretaceous oceans where Mosasaurus lived were the most competitive marine environments in Earth's history. Dozens of species of giant predators, all fighting for the same resources. And Mosasaurus won. Consistently. For millions of years, it outcompeted, outfought, and outsurvived everything else until an asteroid decided to reset the game. If you fell into Mosasaurus territory, you wouldn't die from bad luck. You'd die from math. The statistical probability of escape against an animal that fast, that strong, that smart in its environment. 0. You're not built for water. Mosasaurus is water incarnate. Number 1, Megalodon. And here we are. Number 1, the apex of apex predators. The thing that makes every other entry on this list look like practice. Megalodon. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Megalodon was a shark, not a marine reptile. You're absolutely right. But here's the thing. This list isn't about technicalities. It's about survival. And against Megalodon, you have less chance than anything else on this list. Congratulations, you've reached the final boss. Megalodon lived from about 23 million years ago until roughly 3.6 million years ago, which means this thing was hunting the oceans while early humans were learning to walk upright. No, stay on land. They were right. This shark reached lengths of up to 60 feet. Some estimates go higher. It weighed between 50 and 70 tons. Those jaws could open 10 feet wide and bite down with a force estimated at 40,000 pounds per square inch. The teeth were 7 inches long. Each one, rows and rows of 7-inch serrated triangles designed by millions of years of evolution to do one thing perfectly. Here's what that bite means in practical terms. Not damage it. Cut it in half. Cleanly. The force was so extreme that a direct bite would cause hydrostatic shock, where the pressure wave from the impact would rupture organs even if the teeth didn't touch them. It didn't need to eat you. It just needed to be near you when it closed its jaws. The shock wave in the water would kill you. But let's say you somehow avoided the bite. You're still in the water with something that can swim 25 miles per hour for hours without tiring. Megalodon had a metabolism that required it to consume thousands of pounds of meat per day. It was always hungry, always hunting. And it had senses so refined it could detect a single drop of blood in an Olympic-sized swimming pool from miles away. That's not hyperbole. That's documented shark biology. And Megalodon had it perfected. Electromagnetic sensors in its snout could detect the electrical impulses from your heartbeat. You couldn't hide. You couldn't stay still. Every action you took, every breath, every muscle contraction, sent signals through the water saying, "Here I am. Come eat me." and Megalodon hunted strategically. It would attack from below using the sun to blind prey, building speed until impact. The first hit would be devastating, usually fatal. But if it wasn't, Megalodon would circle, let you bleed, let you panic, let exhaustion set in. Then the second pass. Efficient, calculated, inevitable. The really fun part. Megalodon preferred warm, shallow coastal waters. The exact places where humans swim, surf, and boat. It hunted in the nursery zones, the feeding grounds, the migration routes. Everywhere life congregated. Megalodon was there and everything was on the menu. There's a reason Megalodon fossils are found on every continent except Antarctica. This thing dominated every ocean on Earth for 20 million years. 20 million years. Nothing in the ocean's history has been that successful, that widespread, that utterly dominant. And if it were still alive today, we wouldn't own the oceans. We'd be visiting on borrowed time. So there you have it. 8 prehistoric marine predators, each one perfectly designed to turn you into a memory. From the bone-crushing Kronosaurus to the unstoppable Megalodon, the ancient oceans were a place where humans would last about as long as a sandcastle at high tide. Makes you appreciate being at the top of the food chain now, doesn't it? At least on land. The ocean's still hiding things we haven't found yet. Sweet dreams.